Hello, hello. I believe we are live. As you can see, it's Coach Janae and Coach Crystal. We are once
Hi.
again doing another pop-up.
Yep. Love it.
I didn't create an event for this, but another pop-up um, because we are literally, how many days out are we, Coach
Oh
Janae?
my gosh. We'll be like 10, less than 10.
10 days
Yeah, about
out.
10 because it's on the 11th.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so girls, welcome. If this is your first time joining us, this is the Get Crystallized show. We go live here inside the group as well. All of these are podcasts available on the Get Crystallized show, both on Spotify and on Apple. And over the past few weeks now, Coach Janae and I have been sharing the ins and outs about competing as a woman over 40, and we have actually taken this opportunity to hone in on not just women that want to compete, but just women over 40 in general who want to release weight and get healthy. We've talked about sleep. We've talked about supplements. We've talked about nutrition. And then we went a little bit more specific. We've talked about the different categories that you can compete in if you are, if we've piqued your interest and you are interested in competing. So I would definitely recommend that you download the Get Crystallized Show podcast on Apple and on Spotify and binge listen to all
Mhm.
of the podcasts that we have covered because there were some really good nuggets in
Mhm.
those last shows. And so today, I didn't put the title yet, but we are calling this "What is the Cost?" in brackets, figuratively and literally, to compete in a fitness competition. So I'm really excited about this one because, if you are thinking about it, although yes, it involves mindset, of course, it involves, the training component and the
Mhm.
nutrition component, there is a cost
Mhm.
to committing to competing into a show. So the first, what I would love to delve into, Coach Janae, is the cost of, because we are super mindful and nutrition is in the forefront, the cost of not eating what everyone else is eating when you are at a social event. So, you know, Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving is around the corner. We've got Christmas, we've got New Year's, there's birthdays, there's vacations, there's anniversaries. And, when you are competing, and especially where your show is, the cost of, you know, staying true to the process and not veering is a big cost. So I'd love for us, I'd love to chat about, for you, Coach Janae, like, this is not your first go around. Was it hard, especially the first year? Now, here's the thing, it was during the pandemic, so everything
Yeah.
was closed. That was to your advantage. Actually, bad question. But as the years have gone by and things opened up, did you find it challenging, being consistent with your nutrition throughout, specifically throughout, because we take a good year to prepare
Mhm.
for a show. How was it
Mhm.
for
So I think, and it's funny because we kind of laughingly say like, oh, it was during the pandemic, so it wasn't that hard. But also, I would also say that it's even harder because you only have yourself to hold yourself accountable. Meanwhile, like if you are out with friends, like most of the time, like my friends would know, like family would know, right? So they would know that those were just the sacrifices that I would make, right? Meanwhile, if you're home alone and you've got nobody else around you, like nobody else is watching you, right? So you have to be 100% in your mindset because it is only you there that is going to hold you back from, snacking or the extra treats or whatnot, right? So with that said, I will say, I think, and especially having done it for a few years now, I think the first year, as challenging as it was easier to kind of stay on track and on plan versus probably year like 2, right? Like that middle year. like once you've done it once before, because you're kind of used to the process, used to the system a little bit. But I would say overall, because it's not just like strict dieting the entire time, right? So there is some room to kind of play around. And I think the way that I approached it and the way that it made it seem like less that I was sacrificing all the time was more about the phases that I was in and managing the events. Because what would happen, and this is just the way that it's always going to happen if I compete in the fall, my birthday will always fall during cut, right? So if there is one event, one occasion to kind of like really go off your cutting diet, it would be like your birthday, right? So there's just different ways that I would either choose to celebrate my birthday or manage that so that I could have something of a treat. Now, it wasn't like 2 weeks out from the show, right? So there was enough time, right, to really manage it. And honestly, if it happened where I was competing 2 weeks after my birthday, I would make that sacrifice. I would celebrate my birthday after the show. I can do that, right? We're adults. You can celebrate your birthday whenever you want. And for the most part, most of us celebrate our birthdays all month long, right? It's a month birthday. Are you kidding? I'm gonna ride out these 40s like like there's nothing. So it's a little bit of mindset. Also a little bit of just understanding and having that conversation with your coach, like, hey, it's my birthday, I want to be able to do this, or I know I'm going to be celebrating this, or Christmas is around the corner, how do I make it work in my plan? Because believe it or not, there is a way to make a lot of these things work in your plan. Does that mean you get to have dessert every night? Does that mean you get to have like overindulge and gorge out on Christmas? No, there's going to be a plan for it. But I think like that's the most important part. And that's the cost. The cost is having to plan in advance. It takes a little bit of time. The cost is going to be a little bit more about negotiating, right? And strategizing, like kind of like what you're eating and how you're going to game plan that entire week. Because it's not really just going to impact that one day. You're going to kind of backtrack and look at the few days before and the few days after to balance that one day, right? And that one event. So then with all of that in mind, sometimes what I say, like, you know what, it's just not worth it. I'm just going to be like, it's just a really simple outing. I'm just going to pack my lunch. And I have had that where, I mean, I just recently had that where I literally had every single meal that I was going to have in the day packed up in my bag. And I sat there in the audience and I ate my rice and my peas and right, like you do what you got to do, right? Those are the sacrifices. That's what you got to plan for, right? That's
exactly. Actually, I don't know if Myra is still here, but she's saying hello to us. She's also a fellow competitor. And I know Myra, you know, I think it was last year when she was competing, she did a week at Disney World. Hello. Like talk about what is the cost when you are prepping for a show and you go to Disney World, or I think it was Hawaii, one of those, even still, right? Even still. But one thing that I do kind of want to touch upon, like you said, Coach Janae, when there is a specific event, so say, for example, like your birthday. So as a coach, what I would do so that my athlete can enjoy their birthday cake, as an example. So we talked about macros in a prior episode. So we would literally, and the key word that you said was prepare. So to prepare for that meal and that dessert, which we know 99.9% of the time is going to be high in fat and high in carbs, what we'll do is we'll shave off, as an example, 10 grams of fat per day. And so let's just say your macros include 50 grams of fat every single day. So to sacrifice, we would make it 40 grams every single day so that you can save that additional 50 grams of fat for that meal. And then we would do the same with the carbs. We might shave off, let's say, for example, your carbs is at 200. We would shave like 20 grams of carbs every single day. So now you have an extra 100 grams that you have allotted for that meal. Now, in the end, because it's math, in the end, you still have eaten the amount of macros, like your carbs and fat, you still have eaten within that, and you are still within your caloric, weekly caloric budget.
Yes.
So that's how, like, the cost is, okay, I'm going to have to sacrifice because I want my birthday cake. I'm going to have to sacrifice a little bit of my fats and a little bit of my carbs every single day. And
Yeah.
we rejig that we use a tool called MyFitnessPal, and then we add that onto, our meal. And if, a lot of the times as well, our athletes know where they're going to eat.
Yeah.
So the good thing is you can go online and you can find the menu, and as best as possible, my Fitness Pal is pretty good at like, I know that there's a lot of random people that plug in the foods in my Fitness Pal, and the green check mark basically means it's verified. But for the most part, a lot of typical franchise restaurants, their meals and the foods, you can find it on my Fitness Pal. So the good thing is you can even go, say, for example, it's a Saturday, and you know that you're going to have, the fried zucchini, and you're going to have the Caesar salad, and you're going to have whatever it is your favorite meal is. Plug that in a week ahead of time.
Yeah.
That way we can kind of reverse engineer and work backwards. Yes. So, I mean, again, the cost is you have to be organized.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to sacrifice leading up to that meal, but at least it's budgeted. At least you're sticking to your macros. At least you're within your caloric intake for the week, and you're able to enjoy without going like, and you won't feel FOMO, because that's another thing. Actually, speaking of FOMO, so my first year competing, our show is in the fall. So we are basically cutting in a bigger deficit over the summer. And the very, very, very first year that I competed, I remember specifically that summer we were going to the cottage a lot in Muskoka. And when we go to the cottage with friends and family, like, there's a lot of alcohol, there's a lot of high fat, barbecue. There's a lot of like treats like s'mores. I love s'mores, especially when the marshmallows like crispy and brown and burnt, and the chocolate and the crab. I'm like, oh my goodness, right? So good. And like when we go to cottages with our family, like that's our thing is going around the fire pit at night and making s'mores. And I remember a couple of times going up to the cottage, and I did not track. And the coach that I had at the time literally sat me down. It had already been probably 2 or 3 weekends where I'd gone to the cottage, and he was like, Crystal, here's the thing. Okay. If you don't if you're not honest, and if you don't respect your macros, we're not going to get you on that stage. He's like, he's like, s'mores will always be there. You know what I mean? He's like, alcohol will always be there. The cottage will always be there. But if you're telling me that you want to step onto that stage to celebrate your 40th birthday, you only turn 40 once. Yeah. You only turn 40 once. So if you really want to do this, like, you have to stop with this nonsense of giving into FOMO and eating all the things and drinking the alcohol and all of the high fat meats. Because every time you do that, we're taking 10 steps back.
Yeah.
And so that was some tough love that I needed to hear, but it was true. If, for our athletes, if this is a bucket list thing, and for example, one of my competitors, she literally celebrated her 40th birthday. Congratulations, Jane, by the way, if you're going to listen to this. She literally celebrated her 40th birthday on the stage.
Yes.
And, and she started the journey at 140. She stepped on that stage at 107.
Amazing.
Amazing, right? And she felt amazing. And so the cost of her, like, she gave up alcohol. She gave it up. And that was her vice. She gave it up. That was the cost. But for her to step on that stage, knowing that she gave it 1000%, that she trusted the process, that she respected the process, that she
Mhm.
showed up with intensity in every workout. She nailed her macros. She stepped onto that stage feeling like $1,000,000. She felt empowered, and there was nothing more that she could have done. She gave it her best.
Yeah.
And that is like, honestly, I think one of the most like, fulfilling. And that's why after I competed to celebrate my 40th birthday, I thought to myself, every woman needs to feel this. This is like, it was such a high, like, to stand
Yes.
on that stage, dedicating a full year of what could I do? What could I look like if I gave it my all?
Mhm.
And then to step onto that stage and be like, oh my gosh, like I did this. And that feeling alone is, I mean, we're addicted. Like we're going to be those
Yeah.
70-year-old women that
Yeah.
are that are going to be,
Yeah.
across that stage, and women are be like, wow, they're 70. That's us. Because it is literally, I think, one of the most beautiful ways to challenge yourself in mind, body, and spirit.
Mhm.
You're really your own competition. And I mean, it's just to have that goal. I love it, and I know you love it. Like
Yeah.
we're lifers. But
Yeah.
for our ladies that do it for the first time, to know that you did everything possible and you gave it your best every single day, I think the cost is worth it,
Oh yeah.
right?
100%. Yep.
So now I would love, because I think to me that's the major cost,
Yep.
is the sacrifice of all throughout the year. Actually, I think Myra just said she went to Hawaii and Punta Cana, but she
Ah,
still was on point with her workouts. She was still tracking her macros, and that's dedication, right?
yeah.
So, but that's the cost. Imagine going to on vacation, and most people's mindset is like, I'm on vacation, it's a free for all. But if you, regardless, if you're stepping on stage or if you're one of our girls, we teach and preach that just because you're on vacation, your healthy lifestyle doesn't go on vacation with you. Like,
Exactly.
it doesn't go on vacation. Your healthy lifestyle goes with you wherever you go, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think like that's the biggest cost. But now I want to kind of switch gears and talk about the actual cost of
Mhm.
competing. So, Coach Janae, what's the first thing that you are going to invest in?
So the first thing is your coach, right? By far, like even myself, even now, right? Like that is the first thing. Like from the first year that I competed, I'm still using the same bikini, right? Because every year as I progress, I'm trying to advance and I'm getting like more in depth with my training, my nutrition, like all of those things. So I'm investing more into those things because they are going to impact my end result more than like a new shiny bikini or new jewelry or right, like all of the other things that happen like on the day. So and honestly, like I'm not going to get on the stage without the coach, right? Like so that part needs to happen, and you need to have a coach to invest in to a couple of different things like absolutely you need to have an expert giving you guidance and support, but it's also having, even if you feel like you are well versed, you've got this under good, you know what you're doing, coaches need coaches, right? And you need to have that second set of eyes, like somebody else looking in and checking in and giving that feedback. We are both our worst critics, but also we can be blindsided a little bit, like we can be blinded to some of our faults or our flaws, right? Like those things that we don't want to admit, and you need that coach to give you that tough love, right? If you had just relied on yourself, like during that cottage period, and you didn't have that coach to kind of push you and have that moment with you, like what difference would that have made, right? Like where would you have ended up? So like there's, yes, the coach is going to give you the expertise and when it comes to nutrition and fitness, but also is going to give you that tough love and will get you, like will push you to the place that you want. But you need to have number one, you need to have honest communication with your coach, right? So that these are my goals, these are my expectations, and let's push to that, right? And then you're going to definitely find all coaches are great coaches. I believe that, but there is a great coach for each individual, right? Like not everyone will have the same type of relationship. So sometimes you need to invest in a coach that is not only an expert, but will match you, right? So you need to have that nice personality match and someone that will be professional and will be a coach with you, right? Exactly. So you need to have, and how you want to be coached, right? So everyone is going to be coached a little bit differently. So you need to find that kind of like that perfect match.
100%. And although we're talking specifically about, getting onto a stage, I just also want to add in there that if your goal, because we're also talking to women who just want to release body fat and get healthy, if you are not at where you want to be, guaranteed it's because you don't have a coach and you're trying to do it by yourself.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, if you actually want to achieve your goal, and more importantly, if you have a good coach, learn how to maintain it for the rest of your life, then invest in a coach. Right? Like, why are you going to continue to do the things, bombarded, and you piecemeal all the things, right? Whether you're trying to release weight or get on a stage and like you're depending on YouTube, like honestly, you're not going to achieve your highest potential. I honestly believe you are going to be too tempted to veer off. Like you may see some results, but because if you didn't hire a good coach that will teach you how to reverse diet or maintain your weight, you're going to put it all back on.
Yes.
And so, I just wanted to add that in there. So 1000% a coach for sure. Now on the day, you mentioned Coach Janae wearing the same bikini. Now in the fitness comp world, bikinis can go all the way up to the thousands. Now here's the thing. I'm also in my 5th year of competing, and I have no problems in saying I have honestly gently used bikinis. In other words, these are bikinis that a competitor has used once. They've professionally cleaned it, and I've bought it off them. Every single bikini. And here's the thing, right? Although, like, we are at a pro level at this point, but the bikini is not necessarily going to make or break you. Yes, you want to wear a bikini that, complements your skin tone for sure, your hair, all that stuff. But your body really is the one that's being showcased. You know what I mean? So, and then speaking of that, on the day, you're going to spend money on a tan. That's, and you can't just, I know there are some people that do their own, but if you're a first-time competitor, get a professional to do it because you do not want to step on that stage blotchy.
And the amount of time that it takes to do your own tan and having to have somebody else help you, like you're just better off just going. And honestly, you can cost-wise, it really won't break the bank when it comes to the difference in cost. You're not saving hundreds of dollars by any means, right? So get the tan done.
Now I know, like Coach Janae, I know you're capable of doing your own makeup, but here's the thing. Even if you're really good at makeup, because you are tanned, I would say hire a professional to do your makeup because the blending, like nothing to me looks worse than a pale face and then just like dark from the neck down. So if you hire a professional makeup artist who knows how to blend well, like it just really completes your package. And it's like, you don't look weird when you're like super light with your face. So
and they'll also know how to bring out your features as well as certain colors to highlight when you're on stage, because
100%.
stage makeup is different than everyday makeup, right?
Yes.
So I personally would much prefer having somebody else do my makeup, because although I can do the blending, it's getting like the right pop of colors to really stand out on your eyeshadow and stuff like that.
Yes.
So that really helps a lot. And you know what? Like, that is part of the experience. So I'm going to start budgeting and putting them mine aside to have professionals do that, like hair and makeup, so that I can experience that moment, and I can have that, right? Because that's a great feeling, right? It's like having like
100%.
a wedding day every year, right? Like, that's amazing.
Yeah. And on the day, we'll do a before and after of our our makeup
Yes.
reveals. So we're definitely going to do that. We're going to bring you guys behind the stage, what it's like backstage. We're going to have a lot of fun. So yes, 100%. I agree that, you know, and you don't want to worry about it too. So I personally think having someone do your makeup and paying for that and your hair as well.
Yeah.
If I, you know, even if you can do your hair, there's something beautiful about getting, you know, like all dolled up and other professionals doing it for you. So I agree with that. And then you mentioned also the jewels. Now you don't have to spend, like, these are fake, you know, blingy bejeweled
Costume jewelry.
costume jewelry. So Amazon,
That's all.
literally Amazon, you can get the jewels. And then the heels, again, you can range with the heels how much you want to spend. They do have to be the clear heels because they truly elongate your leg. My first year, I bought shorter heels because I literally learned how to walk in heels doing the fitness competition. Then I realized, oh my gosh, if I got a higher heel, my leg would look longer because I'm a giant 5 feet. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to invest in a higher heel. And I've been using those heels ever since. So so heels, makeup, hair, your tan, the jewels, obviously the bikini, that can range anywhere between like $80 to the $1,000 range. And of course, like throughout the year, you're going to be buying food, and you are typically going to eat anyway, but there might be some supplementations or other foods that, you know, that will be required because of your macros, you know. And then, like you said, the very first most important investment is your coach. So yeah.
So the coach and that would like be inclusive of like gym memberships, like additional weights for at home,
gym
like
equipment if necessary.
exactly, like all of that stuff too, right? So think of that as all part of like that fitness element or that the coach component. So you start budgeting for that, and I mean, like, it doesn't need to be a fancy gym membership, right? There are plenty of ways to find a reasonable cost gym, right? That so that you can have, like, the way that I look at it as, I will, you know, budget and save on certain areas so I can invest more in coaches.
Exactly.
To me, that is where the majority of my money should go, right?
100%.
Because that will get me the results that I want. Everything else I can build as I go, right?
Yes.
I can keep adding to my collection of, you know, jewelry or bikinis or whatever the case. If I have to use the same bikini, that's okay. I don't mind. I'm fine with that. Right? Like, totally
100%.
fine, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. Because at the end of the day, your package will be different every single year anyway. You know, and you know, no one has memorized what your bikini. You know, no one cares, right? So So I think we've covered everything in terms of the actual cost and the main, you know, cost of competing, which is overcoming that FOMO. So next week, oh my goodness. So here's the thing. I think we won't have a regular show, but what we're going to do, Coach Janae, is we will create some backstage footage. We'll take some footage like with our makeup artist. We use the same makeup artist. And then what I'll do is I'll edit it all. And so there will be no live next week, but the following week, after editing all of our backstage stuff, that's when we can go live, and then I'll share my screen and we can show the behind the scenes. How's that?
That is so fun.
Yeah?
Be good.
Okay,
Mhm.
amazing. I
Love
hope
it.
you guys are excited. We're gonna take you guys along with us. Super excited, less than 10 days before Coach Janae and I, and Coach Nelson, by the
Mhm.
way. He
Ooh,
also qualified to compete on the same day as us. So we'll get some backstage stuff with him as well, and we'll take you guys along with us. And when we come back, the following week, we'll show you some behind the scenes stuff. And I just wanted to really quickly plug for those of our ladies that are listening or that will watch the replay or hear this on the podcast. This Saturday is our 3-hour Fit Beyond 40 Recap Summit. So if you missed our 5-day challenge that wrapped up a couple of weeks ago, this is literally a 3-hour summary of the 5-day challenge where I will share the 3 secrets to releasing weight when you're over 40, especially during the menopause transition. If you have not yet registered, you have to register in order to also be qualified to get our 30-day booty camp challenge. That's a part of it, as well as have your success call with your accountability coach.
mhm.
So put summit down below if you want the link to register to this free virtual event this Saturday, November 4th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern. So with that, Coach Nate, thank
Yay.
you so
You're
much. It's
welcome.
almost
It's
there.
almost
We're
there.
almost there. So, and we'll take you guys along for the ride. Thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next time on the Get Crystallized show. Bye.